Hello again, welcome back. I'm now going to talk about the Matrix Trilogy. I was inspired to do this one from two different reasons. Apart from the fact I like these films, I genuinely like these films, and I'm a defender of these films, even the sequels. So if you hate them, I've warned you. I like them. So, and I'll explain why I like them. The first one is, this one goes out to Gavin Stewart, who does not like, he's seen the Matrix Trilogy and he said he didn't like it at all. So Gavin, this is for you. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you're thinking, what the hell's he thinking, many times through this. So there. And it's also for Salty Ronan, who in one of his videos said he didn't understand the Matrix, why it was so popular. So I said I would explain to him one in the video at some point, and here's the video. I actually really like explaining films that aren't popular, because the first one was over popular, then the sequels trashed all that and became the Abomination Trilogy. You know, it went from one extreme to the other, and it's like, well, the Matrix itself is overrated because it was so hyped. It was the next big thing, it was a new thing in a way that no film could ever live up to. And then the sequels come along, and of course they couldn't live up to the hype people had in their heads for the original, so they were viewed as disasters. And nothing's really true, it's something in the middle, it's something more complicated. I'll start off my experience of watching the first one. The first one I actually saw first time when I had the flu, because I went into cinema to see it, and then as the film started I realised I'm feeling bad, so I'm like shivering through the film. And because I've read a lot of science fiction, I read a lot as a kid, what everyone viewed as something really unique and original, something you've never seen before ever, I viewed as, I've seen all this stuff before because I've read it. So I get really pissed off and I was shivering like crazy. So like, I left that film feeling really mad, like what the hell. Plus I love Bound, Wachowski's film from before that, and the Wachowskis was on my list from my previous list of the B-movie directors I really love as well, but because I knew I was doing this video I never included it, because I think they're wonderfully insane. Anyway, so when I first saw it I really was annoyed by it. Then a friend came to visit a week later or something, and he still hadn't seen it, so he wanted to see it, so he forced me to see it. That was you, Darren Coates, you bastard. And I think he just enjoyed making me see a film I didn't like. You know, because friends are like that sometimes. I know he didn't like it, so we're going to go and watch it again. But I actually enjoyed it that time. I really enjoyed it, because I was no longer looking at it. I was feeling better, which really helps to watch a film when you're actually feeling good. And secondly, I don't know about the hype of this is going to be the most amazing thing that's going to blow your mind. I just watched it as a film and I was like, oh, this is good, this is actually a good film, it makes sense, everything works. I was just overhyped and I was feeling ill, so I enjoyed that. And then I saw it again in video, because this was still a period of videos before DVDs. You could buy DVDs, but they were way too expensive. And so I saw it in video, widescreen video, and I really enjoyed it. And so from then on in, I was a fan of the Matrix. I really enjoyed it. I was looking forward to the sequels. And it was just like, it was a good film. I mean, it was, it made sense. The setup was good. You know, they played around the idea of people being, feeling trapped in their lives, feeling unfulfilled. And then given that sci-fi twist, but showing that the world has actually been destroyed and you're in a fantasy world, and everything you do feels right but it's not right, and it's just that whole feeling of dislocation, and then turning that into a superhero film. I think that was all quite good. Plus the idea of this oneness, messianic idea, which is one of the things I think I got a bit annoyed by the first time I saw it, because it was like, no, Messiah, come on, you know. And then I got into it more as I went on, because it felt like the film was a bit more guarded about it. Like, you were meant to find Morpheus a bit crazy. You weren't meant to see that this there was a kind of science mixed with theology idea going in the film that wasn't one thing or another. So I quite liked that idea once I got the idea that no, there is criticism here as well. It's just that everyone was reading into the idea that this was going to be the fantasy that they wanted of this Messiah. And I think that became the problem for the sequels. I almost said prequels there, because this film has a lot in common with Star Wars prequels of the idea of Messiah that turns out to be something different from what you expect. And the idea that the Force was different from what they expected too in prequels. But I've done videos to them already. Anyway, so because I was more in line with what the Wachowskis were going for than the fans who just read it as the Messiah story coming again with sci-fi trappings, you know, and the idea of him being a superhero and the new Messiah type of thing. I think they just thought this was going to be amazing sequels that were going to just have tons of bizarre action. It was going to be insane, and you know, he was going to prove his worth. And okay, so the sequels were different from that. The first thing I would say about the sequels is they're trying to be something different from what the advertising is telling you. The advertising was trying to see the next two chapters and see the fulfillment of this prophecy. And the whole point of the film was the prophecy was bollocks. Especially the second one. The second one pretty much said, this is our system of control. This is it's something that's not your fantastical, perfect vision. Your idea of our kind of new technological crisis is going to come along and kick ass, and it's going to be great. And they're going to defeat the machines, and humans are going to be way we're one again. And that's not what this film was about at all. The whole idea was that that was a trap. That is a trap you're in. Again, this is the thing that, I mean, look at some of The Last Jedi is another one where it was like, when a film comes out about the subject and saying, no, that was a trap, that was a mistake, you can't do that, that's not good for you, and you play around with mythology, people want the mythology unironic. They want it on a platter. This is good, this is really helpful for you, this is what's going to be good for you. They don't want someone saying, nah, that's not good. That's the emotion that you tied into that made you love this is the problem. They don't like that. That's, to them, that's really iffy. You shouldn't be doing that. And this film does that, like, blatantly. I mean, one of the things about it is that the end is basically the idea of the one, the idea of the Messiah, the whole idea of creating this image of the one, this myth was the machine's idea to give people hope, because the crops are failing, basically the human crop was failing because they couldn't, they made life too easy for them in the Matrix. Their brain didn't believe it. They made it too hellish. It was too hellish, and people were damaged and they couldn't survive that either. But they gave them an idea of what will this, like, your brain knows that something is a bit off. It's the idea of your surviving through life. Life's a struggle, life's difficult, but we'll survive and we'll have modest expectations. That's what we have in real life, and that's the whole idea in the movie is. That's what it's about. And the Messiah is the thing that 5% or 1% will need, this idea of a fantasy, that idea that you're greater than what you are. Like, your fantasy is the thing that's going to save everybody. Like, that's actually the problem. That's the problem they have to keep inflicting on the human race to have a balance that will allow the human race to continue on so they can be exploited by the machines. But it's also something that the human race has to keep going on with, just to keep going. Anyway, you've got those people with the fantasy, and you also got those people with the drudge reality. So everybody who's got the fantasy and who has the fantastical Messiah complexes, all that, they all go to Zion and they all fight, and then everybody getting killed, and they restart, and they restart, and they restart. And that becomes a problem because they have to reset the Matrix every time that happens. So, I mean, one of the problems of the films that was meant to be a plot hole, I don't think it was the idea that why didn't the agents not know they've done this 5 or 6 times before? And then the idea is, when the Matrix is reset, everything gets reset, including the programs in the Matrix, which is the agents. Like, they have it, they keep doing it, and they keep doing it, and then, but to avoid them knowing they keep doing it, they get wiped too, and they get reset to the factory settings. Then they start going through again. And at a certain point in the first one, when Neo goes into Agent Smith and blows him up, Agent Smith's the first character who's in that system who realises, I've done this multiple times before. This is irritating. This is just like, what's the point in all this? And he becomes him and Neo both become the agents of change. Because throughout the second movie, Smith's in a rage. He's starting to multiply himself. He's trying to find a reason for being. Because he realises he's done this before. It's like, how do you get out of this trap, this link? And then Neo's trying to... in the second movie, Neo's still in this link of go find the keymaster, get to the source, reset it. So the whole joke is you're trying to get to God, which basically is the machine architect. You're trying to get to God to actually die and restart the bullshit again. Which I think is a wonderful ending for a movie. That's a really funny, cynical ending. It did not go down well. People did not like that ending, to say that, yeah, you're suckers for believing in this because you're, because that's a human flaw. And humans don't like being told, yeah, you're suckers. You're this fantasy you have of yourself and the meaning of your life. This ideology, Cuban ideology, like communism, fascism, it just leads to death and leads to a society restart from scratch again. Which I think is an implication of this idea, but done in a sci-fi kung fu movie. So that's what I like, is that implication of something beyond just the shoot 'em up. Like, this whole movie you watched, all these fight scenes, all these chases, it's just a stage show. And but the villains are letting you in. And they're slowly manipulating you to do what you want to do. And even the agents who are after you, they're always going, I think the idea is they're always going to be a way they're going to actually get him to the source. They might kill some of his friends, but they're always going to go back to the source. And even the agents don't know they're in a loop, they're in a trap. And that's the only way out is to keep repeating it. But the idea with Neo is he's like the 6th version, and somehow within the coding, even the other ones who went along with the idea are getting sick of this trap of reproduction. Then it gets to a certain point, which is 20th century, before human beings could actually learn AI. At a certain point, it has to stop and go back to zero again, then back up, then back down, then back up, then back down. Like, it becomes a problem. And then outside in the real world, in Zion, they create all these machines, which gets them to another point, which is beyond AI to a degree, but still very physical and very limited. But they can only get a certain point, and the machines are going to come in and kill them again. And nothing's happening. And anything in the Matrix world keeps on getting reset. In the third movie, you find out that the machines beyond the Matrix world have been evolving for centuries, and they're something else entirely, and they're getting reset. The idea is like they haven't been reset, but they all functions, but they're becoming infected by humanity. The only people that aren't getting infected by humanity are the ones, because the Matrix, human beings are affected by the machine logic which put them in place, which means they can only progress so long and then they go back, which is also the idea of the machine's reflection on what human beings are. In the machine world, all the machines go back to zero when human beings get to some point. in the Matrix, and their imagination goes back to zero, and they don't get infected by humanity again anymore, so they go back to zero, so they lose everything they've learned. And the only people who don't lose that are certain programs like Merovingian and Seraph, who continue outside the loop of what the machine mainframe wants and can survive the resets, and the Oracle can survive the resets. These certain programs can survive resets, and they become either cynical or they become loyal to the idea of moving things forward, which what the Oracles try to do is move everything forward and get beyond this reset culture and try and evolve humanity and the machines, because both sides need each other at a certain point, which is one of the points of making the second one, because Neil goes through all these talk conversations with people and they're all basically telling him the same thing. All the ones that are sympathetic towards him is you're in a trap, which is Merovingian. The old guy from the Xeon tells him the machines, we the machines need each other in some way, but we just need to work it out. And the Oracles tell him he needs to try and evolve and try and work out why he's doing what he's doing to be of use to people. Like, he knows what he has to do, but he doesn't know why he has to do it. So the whole idea is he has to become more than what he is. And he has to actually think his way through a problem rather than just be the executor of the problem. So that's why I like The Matrix. There's lots of stuff below the surface that's there. And if you don't want to see it, you don't want to see it. I mean, the problem with the films is, the third one, that's all it is in some ways. And you sort of lose, I think for a lot of people, they lose the narrative drive of what they're expecting from it. But the choice went down this road, you can't really go in that way anymore, so it's a problem. So the third movie I think is really interesting, because it's pretty depressing. I mean, the big flaw in the third movie is that they pretty much are telling a very depressing story, and it was released 6 months after the second film, and I think it was too quick. Because the third film is this feeling of a film made by people who are really tired. There are certain sequences that might have been punched up a bit more, and other bits there's certain things like people talk too much in this film, and I think it's one of those things, if you had a few more months to keep watching the film and see, oh, that's too much, to lose that. If you had a chance of a break, you might have seen that some of these dialogue scenes are too long and you can lose some. But they're telling you stuff you can implied anyway. And it's the problem with the third one, which is, you're not getting to, I mean, the dialogue in the Matrix movies are always a bit clunky and a bit over, there's too much explanation. But I kind of like it anyway, because it's explaining things that are quite complicated, so you have to do it, and it's like, well, that's what it is. I get used to it. It's a stylization for the films. I have no problem with that. In this one, it feels like they're telling you stuff that you don't need to know, and it's just like, these people don't need to talk at all. You just have to sit and look depressed. But I think a studio would be like, they sit and look depressed, that's depressing. But the whole idea of the third one is, everything's going to shit. We've cut away from the programming we originally had. It's like, what do we do now? Like, the anxiety and depression of Smith, what he's creating, which is, he's lost all purpose. So he's making everything him, like a fascist would. So everyone's getting reprogrammed in the Matrix as Smith. So that's becoming a hellhole. In the real world, the machines are going to destroy humanity. So there's this big battle of humanity versus machines in Zion, which is this big biomechanical fight scene with these big guns shooting up at these machines attacking. That's like a 20-minute sequence. In the cinema, that's an amazing sequence. It's like really oppressive. You really feel the world is ending, because it starts off like a fun shoot 'em up thing, sci-fi thing, and it becomes much more like World War One, where you start to realise everybody's getting killed here. Everyone's getting brutalised. I mean, like 95% of the people you see in that sequence dies horribly in that sequence. There's like 2 characters who survive it, you see, who survive. And the problem with the film in there is every so often you have a bit of dialogue which is more Matrixy, and it's like, you didn't need that. That's just awkward. And it's almost like they had to do it to make it less depressing, to make it a bit more comic booky, to make it more palpable. And it's like, you don't need that. You just don't need that. Just lose that. So that becomes frustrating that way. Like normally I can survive the Matrix dialogue, but in this one it's like, that's too much. Because I mean, you get along the style of a film. It's like you tell dialogue choices in Matrix are very arch. They're intensely arch. A lot of times they're fun that way, but in this film they're too arch. So then when they work, it becomes a problem because the archy ones that don't work have very dragged you down, your interest down. I think that becomes a problem in the film, that if they'd lost some of that dialogue, the moments they really wanted would have paid off more. So that's why I think it should have been at least 6 months more post-production, just to give them time to relax a bit and then go back in and see what the things had to be pulled out were. Or just reshoot little bits and make it quieter. Because the film needed bits of more quiet moments in it. But they do a lot of ballsy things in the third film. Like they have like that 40-minute sequence. There's no Keanu Reeves at all in that sequence, and it's brutal. And that's a ballsy thing for a blockbuster. I mean, the only person you have from the series mainstay is Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus, trying to get back to Zion at that point, and he's in a ship trying to get back there. That's your only lead character who's in there. I mean, you could say they could have built up a few more of the characters a bit more who are in Zion. I think that's a valid criticism of the films, is like a few of these characters are a bit too arch. They could have done a bit more with them beforehand before you got to this sequence. So I think that they were a bit more mouthpiecey than they should have been before you got there. And that's a valid problem with the film. But the third film does some really good stuff even then. I mean, the end sequence, pretty much as soon as you go, like the whole battle scene in Zion is fascinating to watch, because there is a film of oppressive, especially in cinema, there's oppression of these imagery of these machines. They are pretty much like a swarm of insects coming down and destroying these little humans, and they keep coming no matter what you do. Every time they find a way to stop them, they get like half a second before there's more coming at them, and there's another plot development which means they're even more fucked. And this is wonderful. Even when they do the big thing, they save Zion, it turns out they've saved Zion for 10 minutes and there's more machines coming at them, and there's a wonderful sense of oppression there. Like this is something that's happened a million times before, not 6 times. So this has always happened, and the whole idea of the plot is they're trying to make it stop it happening, stop it repeating. So the implication is this has happened multiple times before. So you're seeing them fight, but this is always going to be the fight anyway. So the change happens actually in the Matrix when there's a wonderful section when Neo is trying to go to the machine world itself. When Trinity dies, that whole sequence where they finally see the sun in the sky, or the proper sun, and they finally go back down into the machine world, and the machine world's evolved very differently. And the whole idea throughout this whole movie is Neo's interacted with machine codes that have evolved, is the machines are trapped too. The machines are trapped in this loop of the Matrix reloading repeatedly, and it's not working for them anymore. They need to move on too. They have hit a wall. They need to interact with humans differently. Let them hunt humans down and through the same system again and again. Something they don't even care about. They just need to do it to keep their survival. And this is not working anymore. I mean, they actually view the humans, they view the humans as impractical, insane things that they just have to zoo up. It's like they don't want to deal with humans at all. They think the humans are irrational and stupid. And basically what Neo's done with Green Smith has created a fascism and an insanity of a corrupted machine that's taken over the entire system that Neo has to deal with and reset. But he has to reset in his with his conditions. And that's what's really good about the film. It's very complicated, this idea. I don't think it's made clear enough for people, but I quite like it because they don't make it too clear. So eventually Neo has to go down and face Smith in this entire world of Smiths, entire fascist world where it's the ultimate nightmare of what the humans thought the machines were, and the machines were never this. The machines were always something different. This is what they thought the machines were. So this is the ultimate nightmare of the machines. And Neo goes to fight it, start with, and then he realises that that's not what he has to do. He has to, instead of being a messiah that will free the world or defeat the machines, he has to actually join the machines and actually redeem humanity and the machines from this war that's been going on for so long. He has to basically recode everything. So he basically uses the idea of the Smith is the infection, and he lets Smith infect him, and then he releases his code, his source code, which was meant to restart the Matrix, but now it's been evolved, and he's going to restart the Matrix and let his code go through everybody, rather than go through just this one character who's meant to redeem everything. So everyone's now implicated in the redemption of humanity and machines rather than just him. It's no longer the one. It's no longer this whole idea of the one. It's everybody has to work on things, which I think is a wonderful thing. Is the idea of the Messiah is not just one person; it has to be everybody, and everyone has to take the responsibility for what's going to happen next, not just Neo. So he basically recodes everything to be. So the Matrix is now. It's been reloaded at that point where it ended. So it hasn't gone back to the beginning again. Now everyone knows what the problem is. Now everyone has a future. They have to actually... The machines have to deal with the humans, and humans have to deal with machines as people rather than as images. And that's what's really cool about it. It's like the idea is that the way to defeat your enemies is not to kill them. It's to actually talk to them and face them as human beings. And the whole idea of the series was that to defeat the machines was that I had to talk to the machines. And his sacrifice was to destroy the idea of the one and actually make the idea of everybody. Which I think is a nice idea for a series. And the whole idea is that he can't, like, everyone who used to the fight, and what he did was realise the fight was useless. It was actually what comes next. It's about finding a future, finding something beyond the dogmas of before. So that's what I like about the Matrix films. I'm sure some people watch this thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? Did he see the same movie as me? So I just wanted to talk about the Matrix movies. I'm sorry. Hopefully anyone who's watched this has made it to this point. But I really like these films. I really like thinking about them. I mean, they're pulp, but they're pulp with ambition. It's like, they never say they weren't pulp, they're just pulp with ambition. You just take them to that level. They're not wrestling films, they're not like Buñuel films, but they're a big step above a bunch of other films that we watch and just accept as fine. It's just, they're ambitious pulp. Just enjoy that. If you don't like them, you don't like them. If you do, I mean, I know what the flaws are in film, but I still enjoy them. I think there's some good ideas throughout them. There's tons of cool things about the idea of the machines evolving and starting to infect human beings in the real world. And even Neo, because he doesn't reboot the Matrix, he starts to evolve beyond the one training they had before to be able to interact with the machines. The idea is machines and humans are now going to interact more in a biological level, which is fascinating to see where that would have gone. You know, so they build up lots of things like that in film as well. They create this idea of a complicated future and a complicated situation. Like, it's not just one thing or the other. And I think AI develops is going to be much more complicated and gnarly than anyone else thinks it's going to be, because AI has to develop a moral centre and a moral outlook, which took human beings like millions of years to do. They had to evolve to the point where our brains worked, and then we have to evolve a moral centre beyond that as well. That's going to be difficult. And this series is like all this stuff's complicated. So I really like the Matrix films. I don't care if you don't like them. But I hope you enjoyed them. I hope the people who I talked about in the beginning of the video enjoys it. I'll speak to you soon. I've got a few more videos to come up, and then it'll be my best of the year, and it'll be Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll speak to you soon.